Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Don Lemon Show. When actress Taraji P. Henson was brave enough recently to speak out about pay disparity among black women in Hollywood, I immediately thought about Monique, the actress, comedienne, and Oscar winner. She told me this 10 years ago on my CNN show and how she felt she was being labeled a troublemaker, ungrateful, and difficult to work with. I wonder what Monique thought now about a very important issue that apparently still wasn't being addressed. But I didn't have a show yet. I reached out anyway to ask if she would appear on my show once it launched in a few weeks. Little did I know Monique would begin making headlines by speaking out again, even naming the people she claims hurt her. So full transparency, okay? Some of those people I really love, respect, and admire. They do great things, not only for their communities, but for the world. Many of them have personally supported me and are good friends. And while it hurt to hear, this is not my story to tell. It's Monique's. And what I really wanted to know most from her was what was her responsibility in all of this. She answers that and more. Here are Monique and her husband, Sidney. Hi, Monique. Hi, Sidney.
Hey, Don Lemon.
How you doing?
I'm so happy that you guys are here. So Monique, you know we have this relationship. I like to be real. You like to be real. Sidney as well. So let's go back. The last time I spoke to you on television, I think it was circa 2015. It was on my other show. And I know when I spoke to you personally, you said there were some things that you weren't happy about in that interview or what have you. And I don't want to leave people unhappy. You never told me about it. So we'll run the clip and then let's have a real talk here.
So that's what this movie says. And not only is it a movie, it's a movement for situations that's happening right now when you have people that's saying, we just want to be treated fairly. We just want to be treated as equal.
And we have to go, Monique. What weren't you happy about, Miss Monique?
You know, Don, remember when you came on a Monique show?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, this is a safe place for me to tell the world who I am. I didn't feel like I was in a safe place when I was talking to you that night. I felt like I was talking to a journalist and I just needed to get the information. But I didn't feel the safety. I didn't feel the friendship that was bestowed on you when you came on the Monique show. And that was really special for me. And it was important for me that you felt like, you know what, I can go here because I'm safe. When you and I talked, I didn't feel like my brother was protecting me. I felt like my brother was being a journalist. And okay, Monique, let's move, let's go. And I'm glad that you and Sidney did have a conversation to say, hey, this is how she was feeling. And I appreciate you saying, that's not what I meant. That was not my intention. And that's why we're sitting here today.
Monique, I have to say, I did not realize that. I wish you guys had called me up and told me that. And so, listen, I never meant to make you feel uncomfortable or not that you weren't in a safe space. So I apologize if that happened, because I would never want you to feel that way. I did go back and look at the interview, and I'm so glad that you said, like, you know, I was rushing you along, because I said, my goodness, that is the one thing that I won't miss about cable news. I had, 5 to 7 minutes with Monique, and she's making a good point, and I'm like, okay, because I realize I only have a few minutes with you, and I want to get, to the next point. I don't have to do that now. So we can have a real talk about that. Real talk right now.
Let's do it.
Okay. So look, back in the day when you were talking about these things, you were saying, look, they wanted me to do this promotion for Precious. They paid me $50,000. I had to feed my family. And they wanted me to go to Cannes and do all these promotions for free. I don't think anybody disagreed with you on that. And I think you are the first person to kind of speak up about this, and now others are speaking up about it now. How do you feel about that?
Well, Don, 10 years ago? Easily 10 years ago when I started speaking, I think people were still afraid. And I think that people felt like that's not my problem, so I'm not going to get involved, right? And I also think it was the messenger. I don't think I was the right person for our community, for some of us, to say it out loud.
Why do you say that?
So when I see it, well, look at me. And I want to make that make sense. And I'm going to go back a little bit. There was a woman named Claudette Colvin. That woman.
She was the first Rosa Parks. She was the first Rosa Parks, before Rosa Parks. And she didn't have
But because
they didn't think she was the right person to lead that movement because, go explain, please, Monique.
Because she was dark skinned, they said her hair was nappy, and she was 15 years old, and she fought those white men. They had to physically remove that young teenage girl off of that bus. Well, she wasn't the right representation because she was a fighter. She was going to fight. So now let's fast forward to Monique. We keep repeating history. We keep repeating it, and that's why, Dawn, not only are we at the bottom of the totem pole, Black women are under the totem pole. So as we stand here right now, and when I hear people saying, Taraji, you did it. Taraji, I love Taraji P. Henson. That's not on her. Mm-hmm. But you look at our people and you say, wait a minute, y'all. What's the difference? This woman's been saying this for over 10 years. And we watched her get an ass whooping. Mm-hmm. We watched what they do to the quote unquote, we're going to show you what we do to the bad slaves. So nobody wanted to get that whooping like I got. Mm-hmm. But now it became popular. So once it became popular, well, now it's okay. We can all speak about it, but we won't reference Monique. And there will people before me, Dawn. So I'm not saying I'm the first one. There will people before me. But in the lifetime that you're in right now, imagine what Claudette Colvin had to go through. Mm-hmm. Imagine watching Rosa Parks getting all of this, what's the word I'm looking for?
Accolades.
All of the honor and all of the praise and all of the accolades. And look at what she did. And that young girl sat there and watched all of that. Can you imagine what that can do to your psyche?
Yeah.
So we're right back there again.
Well, look, I have had many firsts in my career, and it's tough when you're the first, right? Because there's no roadmap, and then the people come behind, and they reap the benefits and the rewards. But I like that for me. But that doesn't mean that the process or the road was any less easy for me. It was hard. And it's good that all the other people are getting the accolades, but sometimes you say, hey, where are my flowers? I get it, Monique.
You know, one of my babies said to me, he said, unfortunately, Mama, you'll get your flowers when you're gone. And I said to him, I'm too damn young. I'm going to get them flowers while I'm still here. Yeah.
So listen, it is, I want to preface this, right? Because you know how the internet works. You know how the gossip mongers and the tabloids work. They're talking crap about Oprah. They're talking crap about Lee. They're talking crap about Tyler. That's not it at all. They are very accomplished people who I respect a lot. But I'm just wondering how it felt, because the people involved with, well, not the people, but some of the people involved with, what happened with Taraji, they're the same. And I'm not casting any aspersions on Oprah. I love Oprah. I love Tyler. I love Lee. Lee's one of my dear friends, and Tyler is a friend as well. Yes. But did it hurt even more coming from your own people?
Yes, because that's what matters. That's what matters. And it's not the type of hurt that says, oh, no, it's the type of hurt that says, y'all, why do we keep repeating history? Why do we keep taking those stories and all we're doing is changing the face? We're not changing the story. That's the part that hurts. That's the part that when I look at our community and I look at our young babies and I say, listen, y'all, if we don't do better, what do we have coming? If we don't do better and if we don't stand together, what do we have coming? And as we can see right now, Dawn, we're in a dangerous place.
Mm-hmm. So the audio has been put out there of you and Tyler and Sidney.
So what I'm saying to you is, Madea, make Tyler's ass step his ass up. I'm talking to Madea right now. Madea, I need you to pull Tyler's ass in the back and say, baby, you watching this sister and you watching her family starve.
And all I would ask you is two questions. The first question is, did you not just say it was wrong?
Tyler.
Did you not just say it was wrong, Tyler? To say she was difficult for not doing something that she was not contractually obligated to do? Did you not say that you would feel that was wrong? Or am I missing something?
I absolutely said that. Yes, I feel the sadness that's from you in all of this. And I don't want you to feel that. I mean, especially for me. I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, I'm not anyone that wants to hurt or offend anybody, especially you. I think you are brilliantly talented. I think you should have a lot more happening that you won that award. I thought for sure that if you had campaigned and won it and played by their rules, what would happen is in the next deal, you would have got more money, millions of dollars, and your career in the film would have been much different. I believe that much in your talent.
In that phone call, you said, it was funny, you said, I want to talk to Medea, talking to Tyler. And then, he said, I'm going to give you the money, I'm going to do whatever. Do you feel that he lived up to what he promised in that recorded phone call?
Well, before we go there, Don.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you hear Tyler Perry say that he was wrong?
Yes, I did. He said it was
unfair. Did you hear
unfair.
Tyler Perry say? Yes. Did you hear him say he was going to make it right?
Yes.
When his next movie came out, Boo? That was in 2016. It is now 2024. Tyler Perry has never made it right. And for some people, I've become the villain. I've become the person that is now, I'm wrong. I had a conversation with my sister, Sherry Shepherd, and she said something really important. She said, you know what, Monique? Not all Black women agree with you. And I said, well, tell me what they don't agree with. And she couldn't answer that. Mm-hmm. And then she said, well, it's your personality. And I said, Sherry, what is it about my personality? And she couldn't answer that. And then she said, well, you and your husband forced Tyler Perry to say that. I said, Sherry Shepherd, as long as we have Black women like you thinking like that, we'll be under the totem pole. And I wished her well. So when I asked people, did you hear that recording? And Tyler Perry is your friend. You said Tyler Perry is my friend, Don. If that is your friend, and you heard your friend saying, I was unfair, I was wrong, and I'm gonna make it right, and he hasn't, what do you do, and what do you say to your friend?
Mm-hmm. Look, I love Sherry. She's not here to defend herself. You know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, no. I don't need you to defend Sherry Shepherd. That was a conversation we had. Okay. And it's nothing to be defended. That was just a conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm saying to you now, when you say, I love Oprah Winfrey, I love Lee Daniels, I love Tyler Perry, I'm good friends with Lee Daniels, and I'm good friends with Tyler Perry. If you were my friend, and I'm talking about my friend, not this superficial Hollywood, that's my friend. I'm talking about my friend. Mm-hmm. If you were my friend and someone said, Monique, Don Lemon did me wrong, I'm going to call you up. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you, is that true? Because I heard you, Don. I heard you say you wronged that person. And you don't fix that, guess what? You and I can no longer be friends. Because it's only a matter of time before you do it to me.
Got it. Monique, you are real. That's all I can say. You are real. How would you like
Don,
this? Go on, I'm sorry. Go on, ma'am.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, baby.
Okay. So how would you like this situation? Because Lee Daniels publicly apologized to you. We're going to talk about that later, and you're working with him. And I hear, by the way, you are brilliant. Lee only has really great things to say about you. So we're going to talk about that. But have you spoken to Oprah at all?
Have you spoken to Oprah?
No.
Okay.
All right.
Then we're on the same page.
Okay, so how would you like this situation resolved? What would you like to see happen?
Don Lemon, a man named Tyler Perry, affected my career. A woman named Oprah Winfrey affected my career. Now, had Tyler Perry never called me up, and had he never had a conversation with Sidney and I, this thing would have just been, okay, it's just a situation. But you called me up and you said you were wrong, and you cost my family millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, based on his words. You've cost my family money. And I was not ashamed to say it financially had us, we were crippled financially. Because now the word is out, I'm difficult. Now the word is out, you can't work with Monique. Her husband is difficult. So now no one wants to work with Monique over something that you admitted to that you were you told David Talbert a lie. That's all it winds up to. It was a lie, but it cost me my career, Don.
Well, it's very easy, I know, in this business to cast, especially a person of color, as angry or difficult when one is simply standing up for themselves. And, we don't have the media, the platform that defends us all day up and down as the larger culture does. And so it's very easy for that to carry over and for people to actually believe that. And Tyler admitted that you weren't difficult. Lee tells me that you're not difficult. He just says, you know what he says? That bitch is brilliant.
What is it? That bitch is brilliant
That
too.
bitch is brilliant.
You know, what I appreciate about Lee and what I appreciate about T.S. Madison, and again, this is about friendship. So when you tell me somebody's your friend, now you got to put your friendship on the line, because when I talked to T.S. Madison and I said to her, Lee is out of order. She said, Monique, that is my friend and I'm going to call him up. But within a couple of days, Lee Daniels called me up and said, I don't even have the words to say I'm sorry to you. And he apologized to my family and my children. And then we did that movie together.
Yeah.
That's somebody that says, I messed up. Please accept my apology. And I said to him, the same way you did it publicly is the same way you got to apologize. He said, tell me when and where.
All right.
Now, I don't know when in history. I don't know where
now.
that's ever happened where a big-time director came and walked up on the stage and said, I'm sorry. And Lee Daniels was the only one I had to deal with, Don Lemon.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a similar situation with Spike Lee, where he said, he pulled me into a green room and said, let me tell you something. You fucking up. Let me tell you why. I didn't agree with everything that he said, but he checked me and I checked myself, and there were some things that he was right about. And now Spike and I are, Spike is a mentor. I can call him up anytime and talk to him. That's a real friend. So I appreciate that. So you said you talked about how you would like to see this resolved. Would you ever work with them again, Monique? With Oprah or Tyler?
If Tyler Perry keeps his word and make it right and give us a public apology, yes.
Okay.
The same way Lee Daniels did it is no different. When Lee Daniels did what he did, within a week later, we were working out the deal for the Deliverance.
Yeah. Okay. So I
just got to make it right.
All right, that's good. So I wish, again, I'm not saying anything bad about any of them, because I know how this can be misconstrued, and I don't want anybody to have any hurt feelings. I love Oprah, I love Tyler, I love Lee, on and on and on. I wish you guys could get together, because I do think that you're brilliant, and I think that they're brilliant as well, and I think that all of you coming together would really be, make a huge change and a huge difference, and people will see you can have disagreements and still come together and resolve things and work together. So I would love to see that happen. Monique, I have to ask you a question, and this is me being a journalist, it's also me being a friend. Do you think that you have any responsibility in this?
Well, I'll ask you this, because maybe I could be seeing it different, okay? I get offered to do an independent film for $50,000, and I agree. And Lee Daniels and I have a great time making a movie called Precious. Once the movie is done, it is in the can. Now it goes to Sundance. And now it's the talk of the town. And that's when Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry comes on board. Okay? When it came to advertising the film, my deal was with Lee Daniels. I did all of the promotions I was supposed to do for Lee Daniels. Then I was done. The problem came in when they said, well, now, Monique, we need you to go to con and promote some more. I said, guys, I'm done with my contract. I've done my part. That's it. Now, if you guys want to pay me to go do that, I don't have any problem with that. But I'm not going over there for free to do that. No, thank you. All I said, Don, was no, thank you. I respectfully decline.
Right.
Now, with that, where should I take any responsibility?
Well, I'm just wondering if you had, as Lee said on the program, I think I had you on. Monique, were you on twice, or did you just come on to respond to Lee being on the show? I thought you were on a couple of times.
I just came on at one time.
You was on one time?
Just that one time.
Okay, and he said, had she played the game, that was Lee's words.
Yes.
Had she played the game, I think things would have been different. Do you agree with that? Do you think if you, because look, playing the game is one thing. Having the resources to be able to play the game, that's a whole nother thing, right? Do you think if you had played the game, it would be different? The game that they want
me to play, Don, is what does it mean to play the game? Tell me what that means.
What does it mean? Oh, to go and promote the movie, and you got to get out there. You have to be a politician and go and knock on doors and make phone calls and make appearances, on and on and on.
That's not the game I choose to play.
I'll reiterate. I'm going to apologize to you for having to sit here, because it would be a bit more, in your mind, better for Monique to do this individually. And when you have your wife that says, listen, we're going to fight the way we fight. And I agree that we're going to fight the way we fight. She wanted me here. When you speak in reference to playing the game is reminiscent of during the times of slavery. If the slave was to look in the eye of the master would feel offended and then beat that slave. The slaves around him would say, you know, you don't look the master in the eye. Now, when we look back in retrospect, to look somebody in the eye is a sign of respect. It's a sign of confidence. But that level of confidence is not something that is appreciated by the slave master. So when you have an individual asking or saying you need to learn how to play a game, when you are forced to work and you don't have a contract, and they say that's playing the game with somebody, that's also synonymous with slavery. So if you're saying, had she played the game differently, may things have gone down differently? Perhaps. Perhaps they wouldn't have called her difficult, and she would have been one of the slaves that did the bidding for Lionsgate with Tyler Perry, who was reminiscent of Samuel L. Jackson's character in the Django. He wants to refer to her as difficult because unfortunately it appeared as if she embarrassed him by not coming on board and doing what they said she had done so well prior to Lionsgate coming on board, which was she represented the film and promoted it incredibly. So what happens is when she commits the indignity of saying, I'm not going to campaign for an award that they nominated me for as if I'm running for office and people know not what I'm able to execute. I've already executed what they've nominated me for. So if they choose to vote me in, that's based upon what I did on film. Why would I campaign for? Because that would imply that the Oscars is rigged and I needed to campaign to get on board.
Well, Sidney, let me just say this, Sidney. She won the campaign because she won the Oscar. Okay, so she won the office. I said she won the campaign because she won the Oscar, right? I mean, she won the election or whatever it is, right?
The point is, what the Oscars proved was she didn't have to campaign in order to win.
I got you.
And what it appeared as if Tyler Perry had a problem with it just ending that way. She played the game the right way. There's this thing called honorably, and there's this thing called I'm going to do what the gods tell me to do because they are the gods and they can hurt me.
Well, Sidney, I'm glad
because she wasn't.
I'm sorry to cut you off because there's a delay here, but I'm glad you jumped in because the next question was going to be to you, and you don't have to apologize for sitting there. I like conversing, and I think this is unique, and I think that, look, we have a loving couple here, married couple, and the world needs to see that. And then you're both invested in each other. The world needs to see that. So thank you for being on. There's no need to apologize. But let me ask you, when I think people may take offense to the slave. You know they are the slave reference. Or what do you mean when you're saying that about Tyler? What do you mean when you're saying that about Lee? Are you calling them slave owners? Or you're saying that they have a slave mindset? What do you mean by that? You know some people are going to take offense to it.
Yes, it's okay if they take offense. If we look at things factually and we remove our feelings.
But let's pull Lee out of it. Let's pull Lee Daniels out of this.
At the time, what
right.
Lee was trying to do was no different than Lou Gossett's character in Roots was trying to do. Was it with Kunta Kinte?
Chicken, was it?
When he said,
Chicken
"You're
George.
not going to mess this up for me."
Yeah.
Okay, because when the slaves were on the plantation and they told the person who had a free man's mindset what to do in order to get along with the master, despite how demeaning it was what was needed to do in order to get by. We're saying that how the fear of the slave master's wrath is not as important as what's going to happen if we allow it to continue and not stand up. Logically, Don, when have you in your career been called difficult because you elected not to perform a service for someone that you had no contractual obligation to do anything for?
Right. I understand. Okay.
Not right. I'm asking you a question.
Oh, you're asking me. I thought it was rhetorical.
No.
I don't. Look, I think people sometimes ask me to go above and beyond what. Do I think it's fair? No. Have I done it before just because? And yes, sometimes it's for favors for people. But is it fair? No. And was I obligated to do it? No. And if someone chooses to say, I'm not obligated to do that, I don't want to do it, I completely respect that. So I understand your perspective. There's no convincing me. I've already been convinced.
The response that you gave, I can appreciate, but the question that I asked was, how many times have you been called difficult for electing not to do something that you had no contractual obligation to do?
I have not been called difficult that much in my career, but yes, the times that I have, it has been unfair because I was simply doing what I believe. I can't give you a count on, a number, but in those times when it did happen, I was doing what I believe Monique was doing, which was telling people how to treat me, which I think is always fair.
That's it.
Yes.
So you're not the only person that said to me, Monique, what is your responsibility in this?
Right.
Do you know what my responsibility is? Is to speak up. I am responsible and obligated to speak up for the next ones coming after me with no bullshit on top of it. We are in a community and we are in an industry that everything is covered with sugar.
Yep.
Everything is, just don't worry about it. Just let it go away. How many times are we going to keep reading the same stories? How many times are we going to read Eartha Kitt's story, Hattie McDaniel's story, Ethel Waters' story, Shirley Hemphill's story? How many times are we going to read the same story, Nell Carter's story? See, I read those stories, Don, of all of those black women, and all of them died. Heartbroken, disappointed with an industry that didn't give a damn. Just give me all you can give me, and when I'm done with you, I see you later. Yeah. When do we stop that story, and when do we stand up for each other? Because if you heard that tape, you heard it. Shannon Sharp heard it. I'm going to let everybody that I can possibly hear it. When do you black men confront that black man? When do y'all say, listen, black man, we can't do our sisters like this? And do you know why Hollywood can keep kicking our ass? Because our brothers don't stand up for us. Our brothers don't go to the bat and say, we've got to do better. You've got to treat our sisters better. If Tyler Perry is your friend and you heard him, I'm not making this up. You heard that man say, I was unfair. I did you wrong. I'm going to make it better. He has not. And it has cost my family. I am so sick of people doing interviews with me and saying, I heard it. Well, what are you going to do about it? Because if I hear tape and somebody's mistreating Don Lemon, it is in my nature. It is in my nature. And they gave the information to me. We got to get this right because that's my friend. That's my brother. So I get sick of this brother and sister talk. And none of y'all stand up as real brothers to say, man, I heard the tape. What you going to do?
And or at least being appalled by the nature of what he did and you're asking. Because what happens is this, Don, being a gay black man in this industry, and when you came out on Monique's show, that was the first show that you went on. What happens is, how many times in your life did you choose or were you told that you need to suck it up and just keep moving forward and not address the trauma that you received?
Oh, all the time. That about, my sexuality and also about my race. I was just told recently in an interview, we need to move on and stop talking about it so much because we can't get over it because we talk about it too much, which I find is just utterly ridiculous. And that was Elon Musk who told me, I don't know if you saw the interview, you need to move on, right? Yeah.
Right. And then you bravely said, he's not the type of person that's used to asking questions from people that look like me, despite the fact that allegedly there being a deal on the table with him, that you're saying, I'd rather keep my journalistic integrity and perhaps lose that position and say what it is that I say than, for lack of a better word, being afraid to do so.
Right.
What happens is when we start sucking up our traumas and not identifying our traumas, it allows us to easily negate the traumas of our brethren and sisters.
Right.
And then want to ask them, perhaps, is it something that you may have done when clearly what can you do when you're minding your business? You fulfilled your contractual obligation. There's a interview out there with Lee Daniels, and he was in the LA Times. Monique was on the cover. It says, me campaign, just go see the movie. In that it said, Lee Daniels said everything Monique needed to do for this movie, she's already done. And in that interview, she was interviewing with a man while she was getting ready for other interviews.
Right.
So the irony is the trauma that you've experienced, it gets perpetuated when we don't identify what's happening to someone else, because we've been told since the time of slavery, suck it up and just move ahead.
Listen, thank you for saying that. And I appreciate it. In that interview, I said, for people like me, which encompasses all of me, that encompasses people who look like me, people who are my background, whatever, so that encompasses all of me. And I have to stand up for that, because how can you speak for me when you haven't walked in my shoes? It's just a simple question of empathy. And Monique, I'm going to call Tyler.
Yes.
And I want to get clarification from him, and I'm going to call him for that. And I appreciate you guys talking about this. So I want to go to the future now, if that's okay. I think we've talked about the past enough. You have since called this new era a chapter of forgiveness, Monique. Am I right in that?
I didn't call that. That's what the reporter did at the Hollywood Reporter. He put his spin on that, baby.
Do you agree with that? Is it a chapter of forgiveness?
I wouldn't say it's a chapter of forgiveness. What I'm going to say is my friend, Lee Daniels, called up his friend and said, hey, sis, I was out of pocket. Mm-hmm. And I want to apologize. It's accepted. If Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey get off of the pedestal of power and deal human being to human being, yes, I don't know if it's a chapter, but forgiveness is necessary. But you can't forgive if they've not asked for forgiveness.
And that's a quote from Oprah Winfrey.
How can you forgive if they've not asked for forgiveness? And that's Oprah's quote.
Okay. It's not a chapter of forgiveness, but you have moved on with Lee. I mean, a lot has changed for both of you. You have a new movie that's slated to come out this year. It is a horror movie. It's called The Deliverance. It's a supernatural horror film directed by Lee Daniels. Tell me about the movie at this point.
You know what, Don? This movie, and when we did the EPK, right? And they said, what is this movie? And I said, it's not for me to judge. The audience has to decide what they're looking at, because it's a true story. That's why I was very careful. It's a true story. When Lee Daniels and I get together, Don, there's a magic that happens that neither one of us can explain.
Fire.
There's something that he'll say, okay, this is what I need. And I'll say, okay, well, let me throw this in. And he'll say, go. And that's what we do. So in this film, everybody was incredible. Everybody was amazing, because Lee Daniels is that type of director that he lets you be free. He's not that say the words, exactly what I put down, and he lets you be free, and you give him what you give him.
Yeah. This is your second horror movie in a row. You started a movie called The Reading. That was last year. I mean, you've transitioned from comedy to horror. What's up with that?
I'm an entertainer. I'm an entertainer. My next movie, I'm a superhero.
You are?
Okay. Yes. Now, they haven't decided yet, but damn it, I'm claiming it. I'm a superhero. I am the thing under the umbrella called entertainment. I'm a roller derby skater. I'm a ping pong player.
All right now.
You know, I'm an entertainer.
Listen, so...
I'm still that little fat girl in my mirror talking about one day. I'm still her, baby. I'm playing, Don.
Listen, horror is historically a drama that is really underrepresented in the Black community. What do you think about, I mean, and it's a Black majority cast, directed by, Black directors. Do you think that is groundbreaking when it comes to Hollywood? Because you don't often see that. I mean, I remember, Blackula back in the, Black exploitation days. This is something quite different.
To say groundbreaking,
no.
I don't know, because I haven't seen all the horror films out there that have Black cast and Black director. I think the filming in itself is groundbreaking, not just because everybody's Black, but just because the story that's being told. I've never seen a story that is true and you capture the realness in it. Like with this story, and I play the social worker. I would love to meet that social worker, because I can't imagine what she walked through. I would love to meet that family. And as we're telling their story, and as Lee and I talked about it, we said we had to be really careful, because these people are still alive, Don.
Yeah.
These people can now watch that experience on screen. So we had to be very careful in telling that story and not make it too out there, but tell the story as they told the story.
Yeah. I want to move on into your comedy. It's no secret that you had a beef with Netflix, but you have since done, haven't you done 2 Netflix specials?
No, just the one.
Just the one. How do you think
One
that?
Netflix
How do you
special,
think that went? Because you guys launched a suit in 2018, alleging that they were underpaying you for a comedy special, and I think both of these situations, a lot of people would chosen just to play ball. But what has that been like for you, and how did that work out?
I think it went swell. I think once we all got in a room and we sat down and we really heard one another, then you saw My Name is Monique Netflix special. What happens is, Dawn, and people think, unfortunately, that when you have a situation in business, you don't like the people and they bad people. We've always said, those people are probably good people at Netflix. We don't have anything against the people. We just got to make sure we take care of the business. Mm-hmm. And the business part did not make sense. So once the business part made sense, we then did the Netflix special, My Name is Monique.
All right. I wanted to be good. And I hope you make more Netflix specials. And listen, I think you're one of the funniest out there. People should watch The Queens of Comedy. And someone that you worked with, I have to bring it up because you were on Shannon Sharp and you talked about, you talked about D.L. Hughley, right? Who also is a friend. What is this public beef with D.L.? And have you spoken to him since?
Well, let me say this. I'm 56 years old. I'm too old to have beefs. I don't have beefs with anybody because I'm too. That's playground shit. And when 3 o'clock, no. D.L. Hughley does not want to take accountability for how all of this got started, Dawn. And I considered D.L. Hughley a friend too in the business before all of this got started. And this is a very free show because I've heard you speak very candidly. This is how this started. So when you call your friend D.L., ask him. I did his radio show. I did an interview on his radio show. He was not there that day. It was his side person, Jasmine, right? We do an interview, Dawn, and we have a great time. At the end of the interview, Jasmine says, Monique, would you like to play a game called Would You Rather? Now we're having a great time. So I said, yeah, baby, let's play. And then she said, would you rather your husband sleep with Lee Daniels with a condom or Corinne Steffen without one? And I said, sister, how does that uplift our community? What kind of shit is that for you to ask me? And what are you insinuating? I said, but you know what? I'm not going to talk to y'all. I'm going to reach out to my brother because I know my brother is not going to tolerate this. This was the exact conversation. I called D.L. Hughley, Don Lemon. He got on the phone. I said, D.L. Hughley, your team asked me, would I rather my husband sleep with Lee Daniels with a condom or Corinne Steffens without one? And I know you ain't with that. And then D.L. Hughley said, it is what it is. I said, excuse me, brother? It is what it is. I said, D.L., I don't air that interview because it's doing nothing for our community. Like, that's just ugly. And that's how that all got started. All D.L. Hughley had to do, what I thought he was going to do, was say, sis, let me call him up. Well, I'll play that. That's not what happened. Mm-hmm. And every time I've tried to say to D.L. Hughley, let's get together and have a conversation, brother. Let's sit down publicly and do it.
Have you done it?
Here's the thing. He's never wanted to do it. I've said the same thing with Tyler Perry. I've said the same thing with Oprah Winfrey. Listen, y'all, if I am wrong, let's sit down publicly. If I am wrong, I have no problem saying, you know what, I called that one wrong. But no one seems to want to sit down. And you know why, Don? Because they know within seconds, the community would look at them and say, that's a damn shame.
I hope
that
you
y'all
guys
would do
it.
That
I really
woman.
do, because it keeps coming up, and that would be one way to squash it. Can I also ask
you?
Well,
set it up, Don. We'll come on your show.
I will try. I don't know how much, I don't have that much access to Oprah, but I'll DL's coming on the show. I would love to have Lee on the show.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen, Don. I wouldn't put that bird on you.
Never say never.
Dr. Phil,
Can I ask you?
I'll say this. Dr. Phil said when we did his podcast, Fill in the Blanks, that his street corner is big, and he showed Monique Tyler Perry's number and Oprah Winfrey's number because he felt that after hearing everything that they should have paid Monique to go over there if they wanted her to do that. All right. Since it wasn't in her contract. And he said that he would have her or try to have them on the show. needless to say, that never happened, and we can't blame Dr. Phil for not having them on the show because she didn't want to be treated probably like Monique's parents were treated on her show when she had them on. But the problem that we had with Dr. Phil was he never called back to say, I tried, but it didn't happen, especially since he was the one to bring it up.
All right. Well, I'm going to try, but I don't listen again. I don't have. Again, I love Oprah. I don't have that much access. There may be a number somewhere, but I'll try. I want to ask you about also Kevin Hart.
Yes.
What's up?
Huh?
What's up?
Kevin Hart is my baby. Kevin Hart is my baby. Kevin Hart just did some things that I did not agree with. And that's when I say superficial friendships. If I say to you, I love you, I don't say that because it just sounds good. I say it because I mean it. If I say to you, you're my friend, I mean it. And when Kevin Hart says to me, you're like my mother, you're like my aunt, you're like my sister, and we're going to get past this Tyler Perry thing, Monique. Don't worry about it. Whatever you want to do, I'll partner with you and your husband. I'll executive produce with y'all. Just whatever you want to do. At the time, I had a deal with Endemol. I said, great. We call Endemol immediately because Kevin Hart's name, it brings business. It brings the money. We call Endemol. Endemol said, great. Everybody's excited. About a week later, we get a call back from Endemol. They said, we got a call from Kevin Hart's manager, David Becky. And he said, Kevin doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Scratch everything he said. He doesn't want to do any business with Monique. I immediately called Kevin Hart. I said, Kevin, David Becky called Endemol and said you didn't want to have anything to do with me and do no business and everything you said, scratch it. He said, oh, that was a miscommunication and I'll take care of it. I said, but wait a minute. Are you okay with that white man calling over to Endemol, pulling back on something that I didn't ask for it, you offered it? He said, Mo, I'll give you a call Tuesday. Tuesday never came, Don. Tuesday never came. So
now am I going to have to call Kevin too? I mean, damn, how many people I have to call?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. What's the unfortunate part? Here's the unfortunate part. As we can chuckle about it, I'm sorry.
Is that Oprah? Or?
We throw each. It is. Wait a minute, is that Oprah? Let me see. We throw each other away so fast and so quick that it becomes laughable. So when the next babies come up, when the next ones come through, will we do the same damn thing? Yeah. See, black actors being underpaid, that's been going on since Hollywood, and it hasn't stopped. And it has not stopped, and it will not stop because the black women, we won't even stand together to say, listen, we won't accept it. We're still in a place of...
Go on, finish. We're still in a place of...
We're still in a place of, I just want my turn. I just want to be on. Well, what you paying for to be on?
Speaking of black women, Tiffany Haddish. You also discussed her on Club Shay Shay.
Well, with Tiffany Haddish, and Tiffany Haddish is a baby in this business. She really is. And when she made the comment, when she did the interview with GQ, and this is the part I mean with us black women, we throw each other away. When she had an interview with GQ, and please look it up and get it for yourself, they asked her about me. Now, had it been reversed, what I would have simply said is, that's my sister, and that's not my business. What she said is, I don't do business like Monique do business, and I don't have that husband of hers. Well, if you had a husband like mine, I don't think you would be in the situations that you get in. If you had a husband like mine, I don't think DUIs would be on your record. If you had a husband like mine, I don't think you would be caught up in what looks like you could have been grooming children. Let me tell you about me, Don. I don't mess with anybody. But God damn it, if you mess with me, I'm going to open the door. And people have a problem when I open the door. It's like, do you think you're just supposed to say what you want to say and that's supposed to be okay? That's not how I operate. So I have nothing against Tiffany Haddish. I have nothing against these people. What I am saying is when it's wrong, it's wrong. Mm-hmm. That's it. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a goddamn duck. They'll make you think it's a rabbit.
Monique, listen, as I said, you are real. there's a moment that I find interesting that I go back and look at, because just as you'll tell me about myself to my face,
Yes.
you were on The Breakfast Club with Charlamagne the God, and you got up out of your chair as you were finished the show, and we're going to run the clip, and you had a few choice words for him.
You know what, brother? You're going to hear yourself a lot from me lately. You're going to hear yourself around the world, because we have to explain brothers like you. We do. And when we watched that movie, Birth of a Nation, and we saw that man walk his wife into that master's house, we watched him walk his wife in. Then we watched him go back and get him. You're that brother. I thank y'all for
God
your
bless
time,
you.
my babies.
Thank you.
Why did you feel the need to say that to Charlamagne?
Because I meant it.
What
And I'm
happened?
one of those millions. Well, it started off with him calling me Donkey of the Day for me saying, please boycott Netflix. And then he went through all I wasn't worth and all I was not and now she's Donkey of the Day. And I'm like, damn it, black man. You got a black woman fighting for equality, and you're going to call me Donkey of the Day. And those white people up in those offices, they can hear you. Those executives, they can hear you. They can hear you putting your people down. They can hear you putting your black women down. So when I got up, I had to let him know, you are the black man that walks us to the master's house for him to have his way. And then when he's done, you stand there and walk us back. You're that man. And I meant everything I said, Don.
What did he say to you?
He since apologized. That day he just said, God bless you.
Do you
That
accept
day, he
his
just sent me off
apology?
with a God bless you.
You accept his apology?
Yes.
And you guys are okay
Yeah,
now?
see. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think that oftentimes they can say things about people that are not kind, not nice. And it's like, listen, don't get off on trying to hurt people and bring people down, because you will pay for it in the end. If all you do is sit behind that mic and you speak ill of people and you speak about their demise and you speak about all the wrong, don't you know, baby, you're going to have to pay for that? It's called karma, and it's going to come back and bite you.
Monique, your popularity, your legend status spans decades and generations. My Gen Z producers wanted me to ask you if you're aware of that clip. It's from a 2007 reality TV series called Charm School. It has become a meme on X and Twitter and on social media.
Oh, she's taking it.
It is by black and queer people. They are expressing their awe and admiration for you. And they said, you're killing it, dominating it, etc. Are you aware of that meme? It's a very positive thing. How does that make you feel?
I haven't seen that. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how this made me feel. One day I was dropping my grandson off at school, and I don't know why this is filling me up, right? I was dropping my grandbaby off, and in the car next to me was a grandmother, a mother, and a child, and all of them knew me. The grandmother knew Monique. The daughter knew Nikki Parker. The baby knew me from the Rugrats when I played Aunt Moo. So it's when you have had the honor of touching decades of people, I don't take that for granted, Don. That's why I fight like I fight. That's why I say what I say, because I appreciate those people saying, sis, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you're doing. See, Hollywood may say what they want to say about me, but the people, when my people approve me, as I'm on this Cat Williams Dark Matter tour right now, and you walk out on stage and it's 14,000 people and they all stand on their feet and they screaming my name and they clapping, that's the part. That's what makes me say I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. And when people ask me, Monique, do you hate Oprah? No, I love Oprah Winfrey. I just want her ass to come back black.
Boo. What you mean by
Come
that?
back black.
What you mean by that?
Come back. You know what I mean by that. Come back.
Oprah Winfrey
Wait,
has
Sidney,
told her history.
hang on 1 second, Sidney. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to know what, Monique, please. I want to know what you mean by that. You said I didn't know, but tell me what you mean by that.
Well, I'm only getting ready to say what he's getting ready to say. There was a time Oprah Winfrey did an interview. Not my words, hers. And she said, I wanted to be white. Those were her words. As a little girl, I wanted to be white. Well, when did you decide to be black? When did that change? Those are her words. And as a journalist, look it up. Let your babies in the Gen Z look it up. Those are Oprah Winfrey's words.
in addition to that, when she went to Chicago, she said the reason that she went was because she was doing a local television show on Channel 13, where we're from, Baltimore, Maryland, with Richard Sher, where he was getting $50,000 and they offered her $25,000 to do the same show. She embarked upon who she ended up becoming, Oprah. But it seems that since she's become Oprah, you haven't heard her. Tell me about the impassioned speeches that you've heard her give in reference to how Black women are treated in this industry.
I've heard.
Can you name 3 of them?
No, look, I don't know, and to be honest, I couldn't give you, again, a count.
And this is the response that people normally get. And I don't mean to cut you off, Don, but what we're saying is when she says return back to Black, it's not for the purposes of being provocative. It's for the purpose of, if we look at things factually, we heard her go on Gayle King CBS in the morning and speak on behalf of Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, she did.
Okay. But I've not heard her speak on behalf of Monique when she told us privately, it is your right not to promote something for people that you don't owe anything to, and you not campaigning for an award. That's noble. Because as Lee called, and you can ask Lee, called Monique back and said, bitch, I tried to tell Oprah that you didn't care about no trophies. You said, if you can just help one person by playing this part, then you did your job. People have a problem with a sincere individual in real time. We talk about all of what it is that's important, that matters, nobility, but the same way she's fighting for you, see, people don't understand that I, along with Monique, we wrote the copy for her for marriage and gay marriage in Maryland, because it's important for us to root for the underdog, because we're all united. And the 99%, we're closer than we realize, but we only see what's affecting us. So when I hear her coming home speaking about the individuals that have touched her and she's touched that are typically the underdog, it doesn't matter if they poor white folk, it don't matter if they gay, it doesn't matter if they trans, it doesn't matter.
All right.
You hear all these people talking about God, but they don't accept what God created.
Oh.
Okay, let me say this. I don't think that's what you're trying to say. Except, again, you know how people will. You're not saying Oprah isn't Black, because Oprah's done a lot for the Black community. I think she did Selma, she did Beloved, she did The Color Purple recently, and you don't think
Don, you can run the list down.
That's not doing anything for
I'm
Black
not going to
community.
waver on my words.
Okay.
I'm not, because see, Black women will have these conversations privately. They'll sit around and talk about Oprah. I've been there. I've heard the stories. I've heard them.
What did Lynn Whitfield tell you?
Oh, she that baby, who was a giant and incredible. We were at an Oscar party, and she said to me, "You so logical." And I said, "Miss Whitfield, what's the opposite of being logical?" And then she just hugged me. Because when I saw Oprah face to face, see everything I'm saying to you, I've said to Oprah Winfrey, not all, but me and Oprah Winfrey had conversations face to face, and she had no words. She had no words for me, because what Oprah Winfrey is not used to is anybody saying anything to her, especially a Black woman, especially a Black woman. See, there are white women that has also had conversations with me about Oprah Winfrey. So I'm not saying these things to bash my sister, because she's still my sister. But what I am saying is, Oprah, come on back home. We got the light on for you. Come on back home. Because the Black actresses in Hollywood, this ain't no new shit, Dawn. And I'm not saying she hasn't. I've never heard Oprah Winfrey talk about the inequality of Black women in Hollywood. I'm not saying she hasn't. I'm saying I've never heard it. So when you get to running down these movies, baby, that's a payday. What does that mean? What does that really mean? What are you really doing for Black women? And she could say, I don't have to do nothing because I don't owe nobody nothing. You're right, but damn if you don't owe me an apology. Because privately, you told me I was right. Privately, you said I was right. Publicly, you said nothing. And you watched a Black woman. You watched me get thrown under that bus. And you said, you knew. Wait a minute. I'm going to tell you the difference between Oprah Winfrey and Barbara Walters. And Barbara Walters is a white woman. When my family called up Barbara Walters after I won that Oscar award to come on that show, Barbara Walters said, I refuse that. I will not let them do that to you. You were at the prime. Everything was happening. You just won an award. Why would I ever then bring them on my show to speak ill of you? I declined. Where did you see my family? Where did you see them, Dawn? You saw them on Oprah Winfrey show. And then Oprah Winfrey didn't tell me everything about that show. She called me and said my brother was coming. And she asked me if I wanted to be a part. I said, Oprah Winfrey, I do not want to be a part of that because that cat, he's not good, but everybody can change. And I don't want to be in the way of blocking his blessing if he's different. Go with the show. She never told me my mother was going to be there. She never told me my father was going to be there. Now I'm watching my father who's drunk out his ass, and I'm watching my mother trying to get him not to lose control and call Oprah a couple names because I saw it coming, and I watched my mother sit there and be greedy. Oprah Winfrey never told me my mother was coming on that show, Dawn, because had she said that, I would have said, stop it. And I told Oprah Winfrey, me and my mother were going through it. See, we had a conversation. This is the part that y'all don't know. Me and Oprah Winfrey had a private conversation, and we had an intimate conversation. And the things she told me about her family, her mom and dad, I'll hold it to my heart. She might tell everybody, but that was our conversation. And I told her what me and my mother was going through. And we were in a bad place. And then you're going to have my mother on your show? Yeah, I got a problem with Oprah Winfrey. And you don't want to take no accountability? I got a problem with that.
But also, Barbara Walters, excuse me, one second, Don. Barbara Walters also came out to let the world know that Monique was not a difficult interview because rumors began to generate that Monique was difficult for her to interview. And she came out when she didn't have to right away and said nothing could be further from the truth. She was a delight and the whole nine. Well, if a white woman could do that for a black woman, why would a black woman speak up on behalf of Harvey Weinstein, but not speak up on behalf of a black woman? I'll tell you why. Because it has nothing to do with black or white. It has everything to do with the conscience of the character that's being involved with this. So when we hear these Oprah moments where she's giving master classes, this conversation is basically saying, you got to practice what you preach. And we love her too much not to let her know you're wrong.
Okay.
And if she's right, why not come out and show how right you are?
Okay. So listen, I think this is a good place to end. This is a different format. This is a different format for me. I said I have 5 to 7 minutes in my old job, and I would rush you along. I'm not having to rush you along now. I appreciate having these conversations where it's not just a soundbite. Did you say everything you wanted to say, Monique? Shall we continue this conversation going into the future?
I want to say this. For all of the women that's watching this, that's going to watch this program, be unafraid to love your husband out loud. Be unafraid to honor, respect. Be unafraid, because the society we're in right now, and I'm going to go back to my sister Oprah Winfrey, it has taught us to be independent and empowered, and you don't need a man. Now, those are the words she's never said, but that's the action. So I'm going to say to every woman watching, black, white, yellow, please honor your relationship, because when it's all said and done, guess what's going to be there? Your relationship. Hollywood won't be there. Your engineering job won't be there. None of that will be there. So if you got one that's good to you, that's great to you, honor that. Right. Unapologetically.
Monique has a comedy special, a movie coming out, another one on the way. She's killing it. She's on stage. Monique, thank you. Sidney, thank you. I appreciate both of you joining us. Be well. God bless you.
Thank you, baby.
Obviously, this conversation continues. And as I always say, the conversation doesn't stop just because the cameras do. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching The Don Lemon Show. Make sure you click on the image in the top right to subscribe to my channel and the thumbnail in the bottom right to watch more content from my show. And I'll see you next time.